All right. So of your top 10 franchisees, who are the most successful, the manager or the owner operator?
I would say
owner operator.
Yeah, 8 out of 10 are owner operator.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
What's your take on multi-unit franchise ownership? Is it something that you allow or
Love it.
entertain? Yeah.
Yeah, we really feel the model is to really, and this is something we were taught when we first bought our franchise, but is to really kind of encompass an area and own 3 locations, where you can, we leverage data a lot, and we're looking at, what our mosaic profile of our membership type is, and we see where they're coming from geographically in our cities. And so when you start to build your studio up and you're past, a point of utilization that you can't continue to support, you build your second location where you take some relief off of that first location, but start to build up the second one. And then you do it again a third time. And then if you've got the prowess and you're able to build the operational structure, you continue on from there to 5, 6, 7, 8. We haven't gotten there yet, but we have owners that have their sights set on that.
Yep. And then you get to share staff, which is amazing. So a lot of times a Pilates instructor cannot be full-time at one location, but with our 2 Fort Worth locations, we have staff that are full-time instructors for us, and they teach at both locations, and it gives the customer variety, but it also gives them enough hours in the day to be able to make a living.
Nice. What's the investment range of opening one studio?
So it's been an interesting time because of COVID, how that range has kind of gone up and down. Supply chain got really wonky there for a while. This last year, in our 2024 FDD, our investment range was between 300 and 800,000, where the average is falling in right in that 550 range, and we're seeing it actually starting to trend down, which is a good thing.
Really,
as we see supplies kind of free up and the cost of goods not being as impactful. And we're just getting better at it. I think that's the biggest thing is we do this every opening. We get better at pre-sales. We get better at cost adjusting quicker. And part of that's the support that we're adding, the systems and processes that we're layering in. And just, again, I'd say the great team that we've built on the franchising side that just understands the value of having good, solid processes.
Wow. And what about the stores, or I should say the studios? How far apart are they generally?
So we have a minimum of a protected area is a minimum of a 2-mile radius or a 75,000 population, except for super urban markets like New York or Chicago or something like that. We have a little bit different structure there because 2 miles in Chicago could be 1 million people.
Right.
But we see them, the more that we open, and this has been a kind of a growing pain for us. We have studios open by different owners they're sharing customers, sharing instructor bases. And that's a tricky line to walk as a franchisor because you need to grow. We know that with more growth and more opportunity for candidates and for clients and for instructors and for staff to work, the better the brand grows, the more recognition you have, the lower your customer acquisition cost is, and the longer your retentions are going to ultimately be. But it also drives you to make sure that you're putting forth the best product and the best community so that you're retaining your clients versus them going an extra mile down the road to another Bodybar.
Right. Okay. Matt, you did mention something earlier that I know a lot of emerging franchise founders, it might be foreign to them. And I'd love for you guys to talk about this a little bit more. And that was, you mentioned Mosaic. And we all know that what that is really, it's the psychodemographic software that you use, right? To assess territories, to making sure that they are profiled that looks like a typical studio that has been successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so would you talk a little bit about what the impact has had on your openings or the placement of locations?
Yeah. So we started out using it to determine, as we do our mapping, where we had the most viable territories. And then we'll stack rank them based on where we have the strongest density of population and the best Mosaic overlap. Now, the thing about Mosaic profiling in an early maturing brand is it's going to change.
Right.
So you don't want to be in this feedback loop where you're just creating the same customer. You want to make sure that you're open and available to all people that want to be a client.
And Pilates has changed over the last few years too.
100%. Yeah. A lot of different external factors that drive that. But what we do from a development standpoint is we take that profiling and we rerun it quarterly. We want to see how each location's profile looks and how the overall system looks. And eventually, as we get larger, we'll be able to have West Coast, East Coast, Midwest, South, different profiles based off of geography. And so then what we'll do is we'll say, okay, we want to find a minimum of X number of mosaics in this trade market to say this territory is a viable one that we think can scale quickly following our model. And then our franchisees can take that and let that inform their marketing, the copy that they write, the images that they use, where they go in the community to find their members. But we're also, again, very clear with them, hey, this is a way to attract 50% of your membership base. The other 50% is going to come from everywhere else. So don't turn anybody off or turn anybody away. Let's be make sure that we're advertising and marketing to all people everywhere.
Sure. Well, Kamille, how has the customer changed in the last few years? You mentioned that.
So Pilates has been trending on TikTok, Instagram, probably for the last couple of years. And we've seen a huge push in two different demographics. One is your 16 to 21-year-old that is really interested in being in shape, and they're interested in doing reformer Pilates. And then we've also seen a huge push with athletes, men and women. So seeing, I don't know if you remember last Super Bowl, the Kansas City Chiefs all did a class on reformer Pilates, and then the Baltimore Ravens, they posted some stuff that they do that. And that's been known, and if you're in the industry, you've known that these athletes do it, but now it's becoming more and more where the everyday person sees it. And I think the only thing is, like, I just don't want people to think you have to be a complete athlete, like an NFL player, to be able to do reformer Pilates. As Matt spoke to earlier, we have all kinds of classes for we believe everybody can do Pilates, but it is great because it just opens up that door and that window to people that, hey, it's not just your, typical upper class person that is doing Pilates. It is across the board, a lot of different demographics.
So it sounds like obviously the trend is changing dramatically. It's making it a much wider net you can cast. Because your industry is so competitive, are there any strategies that you'd be willing to share that you've employed that keeps you ahead of the industry? I
think a huge part is just our team constantly educating ourselves on what the trends in the wellness community are, making sure, big trending words right now is accountability, innovation, those kind of words, and making sure that as we are rolling out our marketing calendar, as we're doing these different things, how can we talk to our clients in words that they're already thinking about? So right before this, I was talking to our COO about how, we need to do a better job of really pushing referrals, and not like the cheesy way of give me a phone number and an email of one of your friends. It's more of who do you want to come work out with you? It's way more fun. We always, we play off the bar theme. And so it's more fun to go to the bar with a friend and have your favorite happy hour with your friend. So is there somebody else? We'll give you a free credit if you'll come and bring your friend to class, and making it more of those conversations that you have with people so that you are making that opening, inviting community. And then a huge portion of what's trending now that we really try to incorporate in our marketing calendar and our sales processes, it's not all about losing weight. It's not all about your normal kind of conversation around working out. It's more about health and wellness and quality of life. So making sure that our content and then our instructors, as they're speaking, that is those words that they're using, not you'll be so skinny for, your wedding or whatever it may be.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'll add to that too, Pilates near me has been one of the top search Google terms for the last 3 or 4 years, and many DMAs. And so people are looking for it, but they're not looking for just any Pilates. They're looking for the right fit, the right community for them. When you go and you look for a new gym, you want to go to the place that you feel like this is my place. I want to be here. And so it's really important that from our sales associates to our instructors, to our studio managers, to our existing clients, they understand people are coming here looking for this. How do we help them embrace it? And I can't tell you how many times we hear stories about, man, I went in, I didn't know anybody. And then April over here was helping me, and Shannon was saying, hey, watch me. I'll show you what to do. And they're just building their own community. And that's what's exciting, because the members at our studios are perpetuating the membership.
Absolutely.
And that's the goal, really. I mean, we've heard it. We say it all the time that, members clients will cancel memberships, but they won't cancel relationships. And so we build that relationship, bake it into the workout, into the community, and it leads to long-term benefits for everybody.
Yeah. During our instructor training, we even tell the instructors, hey, when you have new people in the class, set them next to one of your OGs, set them next to someone that's been coming for a while and introduce them to each other. That member is going to feel so much ownership of like, I'm going to help this person know what the right springs are, and I'm going to make sure this person is doing the right thing. And then that builds friendships. I mean, I can tell you from being an instructor, from being in the studios for so many years, like there's relationships with members that I have that I would never have had, but then also friendships that I know they've literally texted me, this is all because of Bodybar. And that, and that's something that I know it can sound like a lot of boutique fitness really talks about community, but when you entrench it in everything that we're pushing out, I do think that makes a difference in the way that every studio opens.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fumey, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.